it's very important, in my opinion, to have core values. And what I mean by that is I take pride in the respect that I don't have a rigid outlook on politics or policies or things like that. I have beliefs. I have things that I believe to be true. But with new information, with getting older, with learning things, with understanding how the world works, with the world changing, I like to have an open mind and not just be stuck in a box or one position. Now, the point of me bringing that up is, I'm going to pull them up right now. My computer is behind you guys, and I'm going to pull these up so I can actually go through them, is that if you define your own core values, I'm not affiliated with any particular political party. I'm not affiliated with any particular religion, although I do believe in God and I am spiritual in that respect. But I created core values for myself that I constantly reflect on. It's part of my morning affirmations that I read through every morning and get my mind right and literally help program my mind to be the way that I want it to be. This helps me have a guide and a direction for decision making in life and basically defining who I am and what I believe in. Now, I'm going to get vulnerable with you guys because I have not shared these with anyone in the world. And I'm going to go through this list just so you guys can get an idea of who I am and what I mean by defining core values and what they mean to me. And maybe I'll make a follow-up video where I get into a lot more detail on this. But my 7 core values that help define my decisions and who I am, I wouldn't say no particular order. They're very, very hard to put in order because they're all important. But I do have them in the closest that I can do from most important down to not least important. They're all important. Now, the first one is accountability. I define this as I control my thoughts, words, and actions. My thoughts and actions determine my results. Whether you believe in law of attraction or not, whether you believe in some of those things, prayer and everything else, the fact is the things that you think about, the words that you use, that all creates the actions that we do, and the actions create our reality. Our thoughts and our actions create the reality that we live in. Number 2 is character. It's keep your word. It's follow through. It's do what's right. Karma maintains the balance of the universe. I feel like I see karma all the time. Character is what you do when no one's looking. It's keeping your word. It's following through. Those are very, very important things, and I think that you should live your life by those methods, at least I do. Number 3 is transparency. Open, honest, genuine, always. I have too bad of a memory to lie. And I just always approach things with a very genuine and open demeanor. I also think that when you're a competent and confident person, that being open is refreshing in the society that we live in and can be somewhat disarming or, build relationships and that kind of a thing. Number 4 is be kind. I can definitely be a moody kind of guy. I definitely am more aggressive than not. All my life I was an athlete. I was a linebacker all my life in football. If you know anything about football, it's a very aggressive position, and I think I kind of have a linebacker mentality in life. So being kind is something that I help to try to keep myself because it's important. I want to treat others the way I want to be treated. Whenever I'm going to make a comment on maybe social media or in person, I want to ask myself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Sometimes we think a certain way and we're maybe fixed in a certain mindset, or it's reinforced through certain parties or social media channels. So first, before you say or do anything, is it actually true? How do I know this to be true? Is this something that I've looked up? Is there a source that I know and believe in? Is this a fact? Is it necessary to make this comment? I used to be more negative on social media, and now I try to make sure that there's no reason to be negative. Why don't you only focus on things that are necessary and kind to say? 5th, positive faith. I believe things happen for a reason, and you can always find the silver lining. The rest of this that I read to myself is Farmer's Son. That's a story I'll tell you about. I have faith it'll all work out in the end. Enjoy the journey, have fun, be light, and the process is 90%. For me, be light is I take life a little too serious sometimes. Obviously you guys can tell I have fairly lofty goals, but if you're not having fun along the way, then what's the point? If you're not light, then maybe you're bringing too much pressure, and that's not how you're going to be at your best and perform. The Farmer's Son, so let me take a quick deviation. You've probably already heard this in one way or another. Sometimes I've heard it's like the Chinese farmer, Farmer's Son, whatever the case. The point of the story is, and I'll do the quick version, there's a Chinese farmer who has a horse. The horse gets out of his yard and runs away and is gone. And all his neighbors in the town come over and say, "Oh, you lost your horse. That's so horrible." The farmer says, "Well, maybe." Then the next day, the horse comes back and it brings a bunch of other wild horses with him, and now that's the farmer's property. And he says, "Oh my God!" The whole town comes over and says, "Oh my gosh, this is so great! You got all these new horses now." And he says, "Yeah, maybe." Then they got these brand new horses, so his son is helping break them in and train them and tame them. And in that process, he's riding one of them, and it bucks him off, and it breaks his elbow. And the whole town, "Oh, that's so horrible! Your son broke his elbow." Maybe. And when we're saying maybe, it's like, well, maybe that's so good. Maybe that's so bad. In this moment, I don't really know. Then the next day, the army comes through. A new war is started, and they're taking young, healthy men. Well, his son has a broken arm, so he can't go off to war. They're not going to take him with him, and he gets to stay home with his father. And, the whole town is saying, "Oh, that's so great. Your son's not having to be drafted and go to war." The farmer says, maybe. And the whole point of that story is, in the moment, we don't know if something is good or bad. I like to think, like, in this universe, we're ants. This universe is much bigger than us, and we cannot see the big, big picture. For all we know, something that we're perceiving as negative is going to work out to be the best thing in our favor. One quick example, I've been a little bit stressed out because one of my rental properties, the tenants let me know that they're going to have to move out. They're having some family health issues and taking care of their parents. That particular lease was on a month-to-month, which I probably shouldn't allow that to happen because as I'm filming this, it's January and it's not exactly the best time to get new tenants. But instead of stressing out over that too much, I don't know if it's good or bad. And the fact is, they're moving out. I like to be very fair with rent. I try not to be too aggressive because I want my tenants to know they have a fair rent. And the longer they're in there, mathematically, that works out well for me as well. But now I'm going to be able to raise rent to what is a fair and still competitive or slightly below market levels. And I'm going to be getting like $300 or $400 a month. So they're moving out. It's January. Is that good? Is that bad? Am I going to make more money? Am I going to make less money? Don't stress about that. Just having knowingness that things are going to work out. If you have a big picture plan, you're doing the right things every day. Have faith, essentially. So that was my side journey on the positive faith and what that really means. Number 6, pick your battles. So again, I tend to stress out over little things. And pick your battles means focus on your priorities. Don't sweat the small stuff. When it comes to worrying about something, is that thing crucial? Is it urgent? Can I actually make a difference? Or am I just worrying about it? And then lastly is the growth mindset. So for me, that means focus and effort create growth. So sometimes we can get afraid that we're going to lose something we've worked for, or bad things are going to happen. But for me personally, especially in this big picture 10, 15-year plan I have, as long as I'm doing the right things, taking a step at a time and moving forward, I feel like things are growing and there's always an upside potential. With that growth mindset, I want to do my best in everything. 1% compounds, which mathematically, if you grow by 1% a day, I don't know the numbers right now, but if we do that math of 1% growth every single day, it's a huge number at the end of the year. I think that, I don't know where I heard this, but most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. And if you take that concept and this 1% compounding growth and apply that not to a year, but 10 years, you would be incredibly impressed in what you can accomplish. So those are my core values. I hope you guys appreciate that. I've never shared those with anyone. I'm being a little bit vulnerable, which is another thing I'm trying to work on. But try to come up with those for yourself. Try to have core values that you live your life by that can help in times of difficult decision making and define who you are as a person. You combine that with morning affirmations. The other book that I've read recently is The Subtle Art of How Not to Give an F. And one of the takeaways that I took from that is we define what winning and losing is. Sometimes everyone else looks at society and we have all this pressure. Maybe you have parents or there's certain cultures or societies where they have all this external pressure. But if you define your success in certain ways, like for me, if I do my physical health routine, I do my meditations, I do all that stuff, I put in my hard day's work, I do everything that's on my checklist, like that means I win that day. And I can't lose if I look at life that way. So maybe adopt that mentality as well. Now, lastly, I don't want to make you guys feel like you have to work 12 hours a day, break your back, do all this stuff. I know there's certain gurus out there that say that. Maybe they're right. Maybe they get ahead by doing that. It's not my style. When I say I work 12 hours a day, like I said, I have a good 4 hours dedicated to health for physical, mental growth, reading in the mornings. And that might seem excessive, but for me, physical health is extremely important. It helps me with my mental health, it helps me with my physical pain, and it also helps me, as being someone who is self-reliant In a perfect world, when I go up to the mountains, I'd have someone else with me. You know, I'd always have 2 snowmobiles with someone else. I'd always have a partner. That's just not realistic for me. I go up on Fridays and Saturdays. Most people that I know could not do the same schedule. So I'm almost 100% by myself when I go up there. So being physically strong is important. You know, you tip your snowmobile over, which happens all the time. I mean, we get 4 feet of powder up there this time of year. By the way, in a couple weeks, next week I'll be up there. So in a couple weeks, you'll see a video coming out on that. You know, you need to physically be able to take care of it. You know, when I crashed my snowmobile, I had to hike myself out. You know, I needed to make sure I had the cardio. That property's at 3,000 feet. Getting to the cabin was not an easy trek. That's also why, if you guys look at my off-road gears, having snowshoes is really important, because otherwise I would not have gotten out of there, because that's like 4 feet of snow and it's very soft because that's 3,000 feet of elevation. So when I talk about affirmations, dream building, or just starting with the end in mind and having those things top of mind, let me be a little more transparent and show you guys what I mean. I'm going to give you a quick little tour of my office. Please be gentle. This is my personal, very vulnerable space, and I've never shown anyone else this stuff, so this is between you and me. Firstly, having a dream board. I'm not going to go into the details of this. Some of it's a little outdated, but there are things that I look at that inspire me. There are things that I, aspire to achieve, or just help me visually if I'm, just glancing over while I'm working at my desk, keeping these big picture things in mind, and it definitely helps with motivation. Obviously, I keep my books here, not just a nice background, but also something that I can keep in mind when I see them, the concepts that they produce. Every morning I start off where I have a certain goals, I have certain flow charts, I have certain imagery I like to keep in my mind. And again, a lot of those things are based on starting with the end in mind. You will not achieve your goals if you don't know what the end is going to look like. It's like reverse engineering, which, by the way, the other thing I didn't mention is my formal bachelor's degree is in engineering. It is something that gave me an incredible skill set. I'm very, very happy that I graduated with that degree, but I also started working for a company called Student Painters when I was in college, and Student Painters is how I learned how to run a business. It's how I fell in love with entrepreneurship and learned the value of working your butt off early to build a team and systems that you can then leverage to have passive income, or semi-passive income, as I'd probably more accurately describe it, where you're utilizing other people's time and you can spend yours working on your bigger picture missions. I have other things that have to do with the sports teams that I love. There's my student painter memorabilia, more vision boards, and my meditation area. Obviously, bookshelves. And if you guys don't believe me, I am an award-winning salesman, broker, and real estate investor. I actually take a lot of pride in these, because these were from a note conference where they literally only handed out 3 awards at this national note conference. I was by far the youngest person in the room of about 250 people, and I won 2 out of 3 awards. I don't say that for my ego. I don't say that to impress you. I say that so you guys know I'm a credible person to listen to and build my credibility, because again, listen to people who have been where you are and who have achieved what you want to achieve. One day, when I have that 100-acre parcel that I want to turn into a small village of self-sustaining properties, I want you guys to be a part of that, whether that's buying one of those properties, whether that's visiting, whether that's helping support us in other ways. I want to help you guys build skills. I want to create a community of people who are like-minded. I want to motivate others, and I think that I've done a pretty good job of achieving my goals of being the man of admiration that I'm looking to become, and that's something I work on every single day. And I hope that I've earned a little bit of your time and attention on the channel, and I hope you comment and get involved in the channel, because I do want this to be more of a conversation. If you guys have specific questions of anything I said today or things in other videos, comment. Let's create a community. Let's communicate. I definitely will be picking comments and making videos, and I want to make sure the content is relevant to you guys. So guys, participate, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. My mission is self-reliance through sustainable living, and we're here to build a community. Click here to subscribe to be sure to get more awesome content for living off the land. And be sure to go in to enter for notifications. Click that bell, get notifications, and stay in tune. Subscribe, watch, and comment. Let's build a community. See you soon.